Everyone thought this Diddy situation was just about him. But now Beyoncé and Jay-Z's names are getting involved, and not in a good way. This whole thing has gotten way messier than anyone expected. We're talking about rumors, leaked recordings, and federal investigators. Feels like something straight out of a crime movie. When Diddy's case started gaining attention, it stopped being just about what he did. Testimonies started coming in, secret tapes leaked, and court documents spilled out. Showed that more people might be involved behind the scenes. Prosecutors are reportedly getting ready to call in some big names, people close to Diddy, people who know too much or were there for too much. And Jay-Z and Beyoncé? Their names are getting whispered the loudest.
I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim
Keeping
Ford?
people against their will. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock.
What's the problem with Rock Nation and Jay-Z now? Or what's
They're elaborate setup kings. I ain't simple like his wife, and neither was Aaliyah. I guess that's why he had her killed.
Ugh.
You killed that young woman. Who the fuck else would have known better how to have someone posing as Dame Dash's personal assistant call Aaliyah so strategically and tell her she needed to rush to the hospital in Miami because Dame was on his deathbed. Dame wasn't nowhere near Miami, and he ain't had no assistant call Aaliyah. Who the fuck else would have known that other than his closest ally, his best fucking friend, the nigga that was fucking her before him? Prove me wrong, sue me or kill me. These motherfuckers been killing people for years. Not long after that, Diddy and Jay-Z been running around acting like they run LA.
Her death still hurts. She was only 22 when her plane crashed after a music video shoot in the Bahamas. People mourned and tried to move on, but the questions never stopped. Why did the plane go down just after takeoff? Was she drugged before she got on? Was something being covered up? There's a horrific amount of allegations surrounding her death. And you know what they say about those. They're only chatter until someone brings up proof.
Aaliyah was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep and may not have even been aware that she was on the airplane. Now, we should say we don't know what that pill was. It could have been aspirin. Maybe she was just very tired from a long video shoot. And the baggage handler did say that she took it willingly. But it does reveal some new information about those final moments.
After the crash, investigators determined the small plane was carrying about 700 pounds over its limit. And this is important. The center of gravity was too far back in the aircraft.
The pilot did not want to make this trip, and he reportedly argued with Aaliyah's team because he thought that it was unsafe. So he did make those calculations, and he did decide that it was unsafe. However, after protracted negotiation, they went through with that flight. Now, we did also learn some new things about this pilot. According to autopsy results, he had both alcohol and cocaine in his system.
The pilot
did.
Whoa.
He was not the authorized pilot for that plane.
And this was all corroborated by Jaguar Wright as the truth later, with additional details on exactly who was involved in Aaliyah's alleged...
That takes me to when you speak on Aaliyah. People really was honed in when you spoke on Dame Dash, Aaliyah, and you're speaking on something where you're saying, I wish that situation will be investigated further.
No, to be investigated. Period.
Period.
It was never investigated. Hype was never questioned. Lenny Kravitz made a statement, and it was never publicized. She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs. Why would you need to sign a non-disclosure agreement about a plane crash and what happened leading up to it? Please, someone answer that.
Do you feel like the night?
Why the fuck would you need to sign? A nigga don't ask about a plane crash if it was accidental.
Do you feel like?
Riddle me that. Riddle me that. Work with me here in this moment.
And I'm gonna ask you.
A plane crash should be accidental.
Should be.
Why would any testimony about what happened leading up to it need to be covered under a non-disclosure agreement if there wasn't foul play? There are people who did short sales on their stocks right after that, made a lot of fucking money, including Sean Carter. Now I'm going to ask you, why would non-disclosure agreements need to be signed for an accident?
Hey.
There were over 25 non-disclosure agreements cashed out and recorded regarding the death of that beautiful girl and every other human being that died on that plane with her. What the fuck? What would you need a don't ask for that? And Diddy had Hype Williams the balls. Belly was a money pit.
Without question.
And Jay-Z got 10 free videos out of Williams. And Hype didn't work for free.
If you could go back and change anything, what would you do differently? How would you protect Aaliyah?
Oh, God. That's a good, ugly question, because there's so many things and so many nights that I've stayed awake wondering if I had made a plan different, or if I had been there to the video shoot myself.
Aaliyah was a star from early on. She was just a kid when she started performing and only 14 when she released her first album. R. Kelly helped launch her career, but things quickly got dark. He was accused of getting her a fake ID so he could marry her. She was 15. He was 27. Her parents shut it down fast, but the damage was done.
What's the deal with you and R. Kelly? Are you all married or not?
No, I'm not married. Robert's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. He's a great producer, great artist who I do admire, and there's nothing there.
When he did the record with him, with Jay, that's why I was that was almost like one of the things where I was just like, he's out of here, Jay. I just let it go, because I couldn't believe he did a project with her, with R. Kelly, knowing that he had my girl.
What are prosecutors saying that he did to Aaliyah?
Yeah, the reason Aaliyah is part of this case is because prosecutors say she is one of the victims in a decades-long criminal enterprise led by R. Kelly, essentially for the purpose of sexually abusing underage girls. Now, during this trial, one of R. Kelly's former tour managers testified that he is the one who personally bribed a government official to get a fake ID for Aaliyah, saying that she was 18 years old when she was really 15. Why did he do that? Because R. Kelly reportedly wanted to marry her. That's what this man testified. And he said that R. Kelly wanted to marry her because he had gotten Aaliyah pregnant. And he wanted to be able to legally authorize an abortion for her as a minor at just 15 years old. And he also wanted to protect himself from prosecution.
It's reprehensible.
It's awful.
I understood the getting married part. I didn't realize there was a potential baby involved.
Till Aaliyah kept rising. She was successful, respected, and loved. But then came that crash. While everyone focused on the pilot and the overloaded plane, someone came forward years later and said Aaliyah was given a pill before the flight. She never even walked onto that plane. She had to be carried.
What have you uncovered about that allegation?
Yeah, the new book, Baby Girl, reveals some new details about the final moments before that tragic accident. And according to the author, Aaliyah was sitting in a taxi as her team and the flight crew argued nearby about whether or not to take off, and she complained of having a headache. Now, reportedly, a baggage handler nearby said that someone from her entourage gave her a pill. She took the pill, and that right after, she fell into a very deep sleep. So deep, in fact, that she was carried onto the airplane still asleep and may not have even been aware that she was on the airplane.
Investigators later found out the small plane was about 700 pounds over its weight limit. Not only that, but the weight was too far back, which threw off the plane's balance. Basically, it wasn't safe to fly. And here's what's even more troubling. The pilot knew it was unsafe. According to a book on the crash, the pilot actually tried to back out. He argued with Aaliyah's team and told them it was dangerous. But after a long back and forth, he gave in.
The pilot must have been doing some of these calculations. Why would he risk his own life? And what do we know about him?
Yeah, according to the book, the pilot did not want to make this trip, and he reportedly argued with Aaliyah's team because he thought that it was unsafe. So he did make those calculations, and he did decide that it was unsafe. However, after protracted negotiation, they went through with that flight. Now, we did also learn some new things about this pilot. According to autopsy results, he had both alcohol and cocaine in his system.
The pilot did?
The pilot did.
Whoa.
He was not the authorized pilot for that plane, and he had just joined that company a few days prior to that flight, so he was very new with that company.
Then came another blow. The autopsy showed the pilot had both alcohol and drugs in his system. On top of that, he wasn't even certified to fly that specific plane. He had just joined the company days before the flight. It's a lot of red flags all piling up. 2 decades later, Aaliyah's family and fans are still mourning. Barry Hankerson, her uncle and the founder of Blackground Records, opened up in an exclusive interview. He launched the label when no one else would give Aaliyah a shot. She was just a kid and people didn't want to take the risk.
Well, what is it that made your niece, Aaliyah, such a superstar, a 1 in a million find?
Oh my God, that is so difficult to answer. She had, from a little girl, she had a way that she just did things slightly different. She would view a movie slightly different. She would dress slightly different. And it was just her peers and her friends and her family were just always in awe of whatever she did. She would just come out and start singing one of her favorite songs, My Funny Valentine. And in fact, she did that on a show called Star Search. Yep. And she just was so special. We knew how special she was until she started talking about singing. I don't think any of us knew where she was headed until she actually started singing all the time and wanting to perform. And because of my profession, you know, it just happened to be, hey, why don't we see what we can do?
About a year and a half ago, you had a stroke.
Yes.
Could have been devastating. It's pretty scary. How did that brush with death impact how you now view the passing of Aaliyah?
Oh. Well, it kind of made me feel closer to her, to be honest with you, because when I had the stroke, it was so out of the blue and so sudden. For about an hour, I didn't know where I was. I was in some dark place, but I could feel the presence of other people. And I believed the other person was my mom. And she spoke to me and told me to get out of here and go back. And I said, Mom, is that you? I can't see you. And she said, you're not supposed to. You see me when you come back. And then I looked up and I began to gather myself and realize something happened to me, but I didn't know what it was.
So you had a near-death experience. How did that color what you think Aaliyah went through as that plane was crashing a minute after takeoff?
Oh God. Believe it or not, I was thinking about her music. I was thinking about because I worked on it every day, very obsessively. So I felt like she was with my mom.
So does it make you more comfortable that Aaliyah might be there with your mom, or did you feel worse that she had to go through this as well 20 years ago?
No, I'm sure Aaliyah and my mom are in the same place. Yeah. After that experience, it's no question in my mind.
Where were you when you found out about the plane crash?
I was on my farm in Georgia, and got a call, and somebody says, "You got a long distance call. It's from the video shoot," because I knew that they were shooting a video, obviously. I ran to the phone, and I spoke to the director, Hype Williams, and he said, "Aaliyah's gone," and I was devastated. I immediately called Minister Farrakhan and asked him, could he call God? Could he talk to God?
He admitted he hadn't even wanted to use Hype Williams as the director, but Aaliyah's mother pushed for it. Barry says he regrets giving in. Looking back, he believes that decision played a part in what happened.
So whose idea was it for her to go down to the Caribbean to shoot this?
Hype Williams. Yeah, Hype was the director. Be very honest with you, I did not want to use Hype Williams, but there was a push from management, which is her mom, to do what a video with Hype. I did not really want to work with Hype Williams. I regret that. If I could do it over again, I would not have worked with him. And I don't know where the video would have been shot. Would it have been still shot there or someplace else? But it's the first time I've ever said that. But that's what was in my heart when his name came up.
So it was more your sister than R. Kelly pushing for Hype Williams?
I don't know, but that's a very good question. There was some type of rapport my sister had with Robert Kelly that began to creep into our lives. And I really don't know what that is. I really couldn't tell you what that is. That's something my sister would have to talk about. But I did feel, because Hype and R. Kelly had a relationship because he directed a lot of Robert's videos. So the fact that you just said that is very amazing, because it was a push to use Hype more than there was a push to use anybody else. So at that time, I was after the debacle with R. Kelly. I was for not having any linkage to Robert Kelly at all through directors or whatever. So that did come up that way, and I lost that battle, and Hype became the director.
Despite all the chaos around her, Aaliyah still wanted to sing and follow her dream. Barry didn't want anything to take that away from her, not even the man who allegedly ended up doing so, Jay-Z. Back in 2021, Damon opened up about Aaliyah's love life, and what he said surprised a lot of people. Aaliyah had always kept her personal life private, but a music executive revealed that he and Aaliyah dated from 2000 until her death.
When you learned, I'll say different, what did you do when you learned that R. Kelly had illegally married your niece Aaliyah?
Went crazy. I really went into myself. I met with the minister and really had to debrief me, and because my reaction was not a good reaction. I had no understanding of it. I had no compassion for it. It was just totally out of the realm of what I would think any young girl should have ever had to experience. And I made myself known, obviously, to Robert Kelly, and in a conversation, and I've never spoken to him again to this day.
What did you say to him?
Things like, who do you think you are? And we trusted you. I've worked very hard to make your career happen.
You were managing him.
Yes.
You must have felt terribly betrayed.
I was betrayed, and my whole family was betrayed. We gave him not just an opportunity to learn how to perform, but we gave him a lot of love and understanding because he had a tough life. I felt like that kind of betrayal, that you have to do something to somebody. But because of the mentorship of the minister, I totally went another direction and simply just followed along with my sister and just kept it to a very low ebb in our family and to the public so that Aaliyah would not have to experience as much strife and pressure that could come from her family. You know, she wanted to pursue her career.